Yes, yes, yes. A huge, huge win for the Seattle Mariners to start off this huge 4-game set against the Houston Astros. Mariners win at 3-2. I'm going to break it all down. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome in to the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. As always, before I get into this, you guys know the drill. If you can hit that like button, it helps out a lot. I cannot thank you all enough for the support and how much just hitting that like button helps out. If you're new here or lurking, hit subscribe. Two free easy ways that help my channel: liking and subscribing. I am 88 subs away from 3,500. Don't expect that tonight, but maybe this week sometime. So, if you guys can hit that sub button, it helps out tremendously, and I think you'll enjoy the content. I've been on other channels as well, so check out those. I'll always link those in the community tabs. What a huge! I can't understate how big that win is for the Mariners. They improved to 29-26 on the year. They're now 3.5 games up on the Rangers in the AL West, and I think 4.5 up on the Astros in the AL West. I want to say because I think they're 4.5 now up on Houston in the AL West. Not only was that a big win because every win is big, and you beat a division rival in a crucial series and get a W. You can just look at it like that and say it's a huge win. But you know why else it's a really big win? This is a huge series for Houston. Remember, as frustrating as the Mariners have been at times, they are in first place. They're the team right now that teams are chasing to try to pass in this division. If Houston wants to gain any ground on the Mariners in this series, they have to win the next 3 games now. So, and again, I want the Mariners to win this series. I'd be great if they swept it. That'd be amazing. But if you can find a way to just win one more, Houston will not gain any ground on you. I'm not saying that's what I want. That's why I think the better way to look at it is, in order for Houston to gain any ground, they have to win the next 3 games. And that's a lot. That's a lot. And this was one of the games where I thought they probably had the pitching matchup advantage with Valdez against Bryce Miller. They don't have it tomorrow. Castillo versus Hunter Brown. I think Verlander versus Kirby might sound crazy. I think it's actually debatable. And then on Thursday, Arrighetti, who struggled this year, against Logan Gilbert. So I think you've got 2 clear pitching matchup advantages, and one where I think it's close. I'll still give Verlander, the veteran, the nod, the veteran that's been there and done that a little bit, but it's not a huge, huge advantage in my opinion. So that's why tonight, me and Mariner Sir talked about it in our video today. Check that out if you haven't yet. Was such a crucial game for the Mariners to get. Gives you a chance to take a little bit of a deep breath, and now, win tomorrow, and you're in great position now to get this series. And worst case scenario, hopefully, is, a split at this point. So a lot of baseball left in the series. Houston's more than capable of going on a run. I still think that's a good baseball team that just underperformed a little bit, but a huge, huge win to start this series out. I didn't think the offense was terrible today. Getting 3 runs off Framber Valdez in 6 innings is not a bad thing. Valdez is a really, really good pitcher. And the Mariners have actually kind of had his number a little bit the last couple of years. They roughed him up in Houston earlier this year. Excuse me, getting late at night. And then they had a couple solid outings against him last year as well. Now, overall, his numbers are really good against the Mariners, but I think they've had a better approach against him the last couple of years. Could they have done more? Yeah, it would have been nice to add another run after getting 3 in the first inning. But overall, let's say the Mariners scored 1 in the first, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. I think everyone feel a little bit better about that offensive showing. Doesn't matter when you get the runs, right? Now I'd like more than 3, but if you score 13 runs, who cares if it's all in 1 inning? It doesn't matter. So I think the fact it was all in 1 inning makes it look a little bit worse of a showing than it was. But I thought overall, they did a pretty good job against Valdez. They had some chances to add on some runs. Actually, Mariners, I thought, hit some hard luck outs. Cal sack fly in the first inning. An amazing catch by Jake Meyer. Should have been a bases clearing double. Now, thankfully, Ty France, Mitch Haniger came through there, so you got the 3 runs anyways. Cal had another stung line out that Bregman caught, and another one in the 7th that was caught by Kyle Tucker out there. All of those could have been in for hits. Ty France, I thought, had one. He stung pretty well to right field. I thought for a second off the bat might get out. That was hit pretty hard. Bliss hit the ball 95 plus on a couple of his outs as well in his major league debut. So there were some hard luck outs, I thought, for the Mariners. Again, I say to, feel like a couple times a month, not an offensive performance I'm putting in the Mariners Hall of Fame, but I didn't think too bad. I thought a pretty decent showing. Bryce Miller outstanding. A little bit of hiccup in the 5th inning there. Started pitching from the stretch. Looked like the Astros were seeing the ball a little bit better off of him. Even into the sixth, he got a little unlucky. Myers had a kind of a check swing base hit. But then I thought Singleton just missed a 3-run home run off of him. Listen, all in all, Bryce Miller was fabulous through 4 1/3. Actually had a no-hitter through 4 1/3. Stumbled a little bit there in the fifth. I didn't think it was great in the sixth, but gutsy to get out of that and to get the team through 6 innings. Perfectly fine. Not more than perfectly fine. A great outing for Bryce Miller against a tough lineup. And how about this bullpen? The maligned bullpen gets it done. And two guys that have kind of been on the list a little bit, Trent Thornton and Gabe Speier, both come into situations with nobody on base. Thornton does his job in the seventh, and as good as Gabe Speier has looked since April, strikes out Kyle Tucker, gets Alvarez to ground out weakly, and gets Bregman to pop up. Good to see. Good to see. I was a little hesitant about them going to Gabe Speier in that situation. I thought it should have been Saucedo or even Munoz against the heart of the order. But one thing I will give the Mariners a lot of credit for, and I will give Scott credit for this. I think he does a good job believing in the guys. And, you go to Savant, and I'm going to pull it up. I won't be able to screen share it here. But Gabe Speier still has a lot of red in his Savant page. Like the underlying numbers look really good still for Gabe Speier. Let me see if I can pull it up. Again, I won't be able to share it. I mean, it's not as, yeah, it's pretty good. The base on ball percentage is rough. He's given up some barrels, but average exit velocity, chase, whiff, K, all in the red. Expected ERA, expected batting average, all in the red. So overall, like Gabe Speyer's probably been better than what he's shown the last few times out. And I will give the team credit for keeping going with him. Talked about it a little bit with Brash last year. Now, Brash was just getting BABIP to death. I think Speyer's been worse than that. But I do think it takes a lot to stick with guys when they're going through it a little bit. And hopefully that's what gets Gabe Speyer's confidence up and back on the right track, because this team absolutely needs a lockdown Gabe Speier. I guess a video can't go by where I don't mention Brash and Santos. But with them being out, one of the reasons they were able to survive so well in April is you had Gabe Speier pitching like a legitimate setup man. A legitimate, just, he's your go-to guy against lefties or righties before getting to Munoz. Excuse me. Then when that tailed off a little bit, it kind of made the pen a mess. I don't want to put it all on Gabe Speier, but I really think a lot of the frustrations have come from his underperforming. So if they can get Gabe Speier back to what he was in April, it solves a lot of issues for this team out of the bullpen. And then Andres Munoz just as lights out as ever in the ninth inning. I mean, I can say it in every video, but my goodness, is Munoz back. And again, I say it all the time. He was not bad last year, but he was not 2022 dialed in. And my goodness, is he back? I mean, it's been stress-free. Last year, he was getting the job done, but there were some stressful outings where you're just like, I don't fully trust it. Right now, I mean, outside of just not wanting to jinx anything, Munoz comes in. I feel pretty darn good that you're getting through those innings. And Munoz just absolutely outstanding. Let's dive into the box score here for this game. I've got Thursday's game up on my screen for some reason. Where are we at? Is it May 27th? There it is. So let's pull it up, starting with the pitching, even though we kind of did it. Bryce Miller, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Listen, one of his walks was Kyle Tucker. It's tough with Tucker and Alvarez batting back-to-back. I mean, that alone is just such a murderer's row that, there was that at-bat in the 5th inning where Bryce got Kyle Tucker to ground out, which was so huge. It was a 2-0 pitch. And I know he's being careful with Tucker, but then you've got Yordan Alvarez on deck. It's a tough spot. It's tough to pitch to Kyle Tucker when you've got Yordan sitting behind him, and even Bregman, behind him. I know Bregman's been scuffling, but still a dangerous guy. And then you got Altuve before Tucker. So nice job by Bryce Miller there to wiggle around that. Like I said, ran into a little bit of trouble in the 5th inning when he's pitching from the stretch, but all in all, tremendous outing for Bryce Miller and a well-deserved W. Trent Thornton with the shutout inning. Gabe Speier, like I said, is good as we've seen him since April. And then Munoz with a couple strikeouts to lock down his 11th save. Do you want to talk about the 8th inning a little bit? And I know I dove into it. Going to Gabe Speier. I said, I do commend them for sticking with their guys, especially when Speier's underlying numbers are good. He is, everything would tell you that should be a good reliever. But it's hard to believe in that sometimes. Like our eyes tell us something different. Our eyes have told us that Gabe Spire's not been very good recently. And I don't think I think he has not been very good. I think that's real. But it would be hard to be like, yeah, his savant page looks great. I'm like, I'm still going to sauce there. I still feel like I need Spire to pitch some lower leverage innings. So I do give the Mariners the kudos for doing that. With that said, what would I have done in the 8th inning? And again, like I think it's up for debate. I don't think Scott made a wrong decision. I don't think what I'm saying would have necessarily been wrong either. It's just there's multiple ways to handle it. I didn't envy that situation. I probably go to Munoz versus the heart of the order. Hope you can add on a run, and then maybe go to Stanek in the 9th with righties coming up, and then. Excuse me again, gosh, I'm sorry, guys. It's late for me. It's such a long road trip. These post games have been up earlier now, so I got to get back now. The Mariners are back at home, get used to it again. So, but you know what? I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think you could have gone to Sauce. It would have been fine. I think you could have gone to Munoz. It would have been fine. I really didn't think they'd go to Spire, but clearly it was fine because he looked as good as he's looked all season. So those are the things that, like, I don't know if there's a wrong answer. I mean, going to, Mike Baumann, they're probably not your best option, or going to Kirby Snead, they're not your best option. But between Spire, Munoz, Saucedo there, I can live with any one of those guys that you go to in that situation. I think all are okay options. So that would be my take on it. Let's look at the offense, the box score here real quick, if it'll come up for me. There we go. J.P. Crawford, 2 for 4. Infield single and a double that just got, I think, kind of hopped over the glove of Jose Abreu. JP starting to look a little more dialed in since coming back from the injured list. JP looks a lot more like last year's JP Crawford. So tough start for him this year, but really starting to turn around. He started to turn around before he went out and was hurt, but good to see him come back contributing. Not a great game for Dylan Moore, but still works a walk, 0 for 3 with the walk. Julio, 2 for 4. Great to see. A couple hard hit balls, too, over 100 exit velo on both singles. Julio looks pretty dialed in right now. Now, he did have a ground out, which should have been a double, which was almost a double play later in the game, where he swung at a couple pitches outside the zone. But, I'm not going to get a game for Julio where he went 2 for 4 with a couple hard hit balls. So looking good that Julio might be back. We might be seeing Julio. The Julio we love and expect to see out there. So good game from Julio. Garver 0 for 2 does work. Couple walks. I'll take it. On base twice. Gets that pitch count up for Valdez a little bit. There was an at-bat. I don't remember what inning. I thought he missed a pitch. Pretty center cut. It was 95. Was just a little late on it. Fouled it straight back. Would have been nice to see him drive that ball. And again, open up the game. But listen, scuffling right now. Garver still is. I'll take a couple walks. Like when guys are going poorly, I'll take anything they can give, essentially. Cal 0 for 3, but man, it was some hard hit outs. Does get an RBI. Ty France, 1 for 3, big base hit, scores second run, and works a walk. He also had a fly out that I thought was hit very well in his second at-bat. I thought might get out to right field. Ty is another one. Talking about Julio looking dialed in. Ty France looks a lot more comfortable at the plate. And maybe it's just when guys get hits, it seems this way. It's kind of a chicken or egg thing. But Julio and Ty look like they're stepping up to the plate and they just look hitterish. They look like they're about to get a base hit. And that may be like a little bit reversed, and maybe they're getting hits, so that's why they look that way. But whatever. They look dialed in. Ty seems to be seeing the ball pretty well. I thought his walk was a really nice at-bat. Fouled off some pitches and spit on some pretty good pitches as well. Ty's been swinging the bat much, much better. The overall numbers still aren't where we need them to be, but Ty is pretty locked in right now, which is fantastic to see. The powers come back and just some of those classic Ty France hits. So, man, I mean, Ty was a guy that I didn't write him off, but was definitely pretty close to being done. And now I'm kind of back in. Ty's just had a wacky season. I can't figure it out. I talked about it with Mariner Sir today, but good to see Ty heating up for sure. Mitch Haniger 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Didn't take it. Luke Raley was hit by a pitch. He pinch hit for Haniger, or I think came in for defensive purposes. Ryan Bliss 0 for 2 with a walk. Bliss stung a couple balls. Good to see. Thought his approach looked pretty good. Put some good swings on the ball and worked a pretty critical walk, which could have really knocked Valdez off or out of the game, but Clase ended up grounding out. So I thought that was a nice at-bat by Bliss. Canzone pinched hit for him. He was 0 for 1. And then Clase 0 for 3. And Rojas pinched hit for Clase and was 0 for 1. Let's talk about Clase a little bit. I just don't really get why Clase's up right now. I can understand Urias was scuffling a little bit and he wanted to send him down. Dylan Moore's red hot. He can take over that platoon at third base and play some other positions as well for you. So I get that. I get having another outfielder up here. I just don't really see what Clase is bringing to the table right now. You have him platooning from what I believe is his worst side as a right-handed hitter. And you watch the at-bats. And listen, he's had what, like 10 at-bats since coming back up. Nobody should be judged off 10 at-bats. Clase goes 4 for 4 tomorrow. Probably won't play tomorrow against Hunter Brown. But let's say he did and went 4 for 4. Boom, those season numbers shoot right up. Clase did some good things when he first came up. Thought he was kind of a little bit of a spark plug. Saw what he could do on the base pass. Did some nice things for the team, despite overall not having great numbers. I just don't really get what purpose he's serving. Because like I said, you're platooning him from his worst side. Why not just play Luke Raley against lefties? Even if Raley doesn't hit as well against lefties, I think the numbers actually are pretty decent. I could get it. Maybe there's some of the approach they don't like and they want to platoon him. Okay, fine. But do you really feel more comfortable? Like that at-bat against Valdez, where he grounded out when it was 3-2, I think, in the 6th inning. Huge at-bat there. You get a base hit 4-2, you knock Valdez out, and you just give yourself some breathing room for a bullpen that has been struggling. Got it done tonight, but overall been struggling. Do you feel more comfortable with Clase in that at-bat over Luke Raley? I'm not saying Raley would have guaranteed to get a hit there, for sure. And even some of Raley's underlying numbers don't look great still. But, man, I think we feel better with Luke Raley in that at-bat. Or Cade Marlowe. If you want to go with that extra outfield, Marlowe came up last year and was worth one win above replacement level by F4. Now, I know he cooled off a bit, in September and everything. But is Clase a better player than Cade Marlowe at this point? I don't think so. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't think it's like, oh my gosh, this is costing the team a ton, here, and they're going to lose the pennant because of this. Even Urias, right? Like, who would you have rather had to have that at bat against Valdez? Urias, who homered off of him last game, or Clase? I'd rather see Urias have that at bat. Not trying to go on some huge Urias defense here, but I'd rather see him, have that at bat. I don't really get why they have Clase up. And his best attribute is speed, and he's not getting on base, so it doesn't do you a lot of good. And some of his outfield routes, I think he's athletic enough to be a good defensive outfielder. But even, he had that ball that Jordan hit that he almost ended up not catching. Now, I'm sure that thing was sinking like crazy. It's not an easy catch. But, man, if that dropped in, that could have been a disaster. So I have nothing against Jonathan Clase. Nothing. Seems like a great kid. Rooting for him all the way. Would love nothing more than for him to go 5 for 5 tomorrow with 3 home runs. Would make my heart melt. Rooting for him all the way. I just think there's better options to have out there for what they're wanting to do. Whether that's Samad Taylor, Cade Marlowe, Nick Solak is someone that Mariner Sir mentioned. I think all those guys would just give you a little bit more. Or honestly, Luis Urias. So I think we'll see a roster move here soon. I know that's kind of tough for Clase to come up, have like 10 at-bats and get sent down. I didn't love that move when it happened, and I'd rather give Luke Raley those at-bats. Or even Canzone against a lefty. Let's see if he can do something against left-handed pitching. So, yeah, that's my take there. Again, not going to fight that with anybody. If it was like, no, I think, fine. Whatever. I don't think it's costing them anything or hurting them that much. There's no guarantee Luke Raley gets a hit in that at-bat either, but I think there's just better ways to maximize a roster, and maybe it does matter because you're fighting for every win right now, right? You're fighting for every little thing. Sometimes those little things add up at the end of the year, so that's my take on that. But other than that, like I said, 6 hits for the Mariners, only 5 strikeouts and 5 walks, so that's good to see. Valdez, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 run, 3 earned, 3 walks, 4 Ks. I think the Mariners did all right against him. And even, Montero came in, he walked, he only struck out 1. Cal probably should have had a double off of him. So I didn't think the offense was that bad tonight. Could they have added a couple runs? Yeah, that would have been nice for the old heart. But, it is what it is. So that's all I've got. A couple quick plugs real quick. First of all, I want to say happy Memorial Day. To anybody out there that has served or is serving this country, thank you for your service. And thank you to all those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for this country. You will not be forgotten. So thank you to everybody. If you have a family member that served or anything like that, thank you from me and my family for your service. Second of all, members, channel memberships. Think about becoming a channel member. $4.99 a month. Wednesday will be our next members only live stream. I'll post it tomorrow. We'll do a contest giveaway for that one. So if you're a channel member, check out Wednesday. I will do the play-by-play for Mariners and Astros on my channel. That will be Kirby versus Verlander, so it should be a fun one to do. And it's just, like I say, if you think about becoming a channel member, there's some contest giveaways, which is cool. It's also it's a more one-on-one setting to chat. So you kind of get, a little bit more in depth from me. Whereas if we've got, 500 comments coming in, it's sometimes tough to get to all of them or give in-depth answers. Whereas in the member stream, there might be 4 or 5. It's really easy to answer, and I can give a lot more in-depth answers as well to those. So think about becoming a channel member. It'll be a lot of fun. So Wednesday will be the next stream for that. Look out for that, guys. That's all I've got. Remember to smash that like button, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Huge win for the Mariners. Let's do it again tomorrow. Go Mariners. Peace.